What if you never had to write another proposal ever again in your life, but you still could land high paying, good quality clients? In this video, I'm going to show you one simple offer that made me $7,500 within just a few months and how that has changed how I now sell forever. So if you're a consultant, a digital agency owner, or freelancer, and you're still on the proposal sending wheel, stop. Um, we're going to change all that. I want you to just listen up because in this video, I'm going to give you the incentive or maybe the permission to just stop wasting your time. And instead, I want you to value it. Your time is one thing you will never get back. You could waste money, you can get more money back, but you can't waste your time. And you should really value your time. So let's get into it. Okay, first, let's start with why proposals don't actually work. They don't work for a lot of reasons. One of them is they only focus on things that maybe your clients don't actually need. And this is more specific to digital marketing than a client that might want a website redesign. Because with a website redesign, you're going to have certain things that you're going to have to incorporate within a proposal. So this is very specific to a client is asking you to create an actual customized digital marketing proposal. Maybe it is for content marketing, and maybe it is running SEO, or maybe it is just social media specifically. You're pushing one thing at them and it's your specialization. But I'm going to give you exactly what I do. But first, I want to touch on why proposals are a complete waste of your time. You also feel like you're pushing instead of leading. So instead of pushing that proposal across to get them to sign, acknowledge, you're not actually leading. My offers previous to 2024 always started with SEO as the focus. I am deeply specialized in search engine optimization. It is what I've been doing since 2004. So I know it inside and out, and I also know how to operate it at the 2025 level as well. And while I still believe that the majority of my clients should require SEO as a foundational element, there are still so many that just see SEO as this overlooked child that like, well, we really don't need SEO. So the way that I've kind of came around is thinking about it from my prospect's perspective. I knew they needed more also than SEO because in the way that search and digital marketing is working now in this current year, things have changed a great deal, to say the least. So this is why I had to come to, when we think about digital marketing, search marketing, we have to really incorporate a bigger, fuller picture. That was another reason why I needed to change things. And not to mention, proposals are just draining. They just suck the life out of you. How many times have you sat there hours and hours trying to perfect this thing? Then you get on a call only to find out that, you know what, we're just really not interested, or you get no, you don't really get any answer or feedback. For all those reasons and so many more that I probably didn't mention, proposals, are a waste of time. What was the shift? Well, in March of last year, I launched my what I call digital marketing assessment. It started at $1,000, and then it went to $1,500. Actually, then it went to $1,200. Then it went to $1,500. Now I'm at $2,000. What's really great about this is it's not a free audit, and that is absolutely things that your prospects do not want. They don't want a free strategy session. They don't want a free audit, because those things are, frankly, they're worthless. Okay. So what do they actually want? Let's give them something tangible, actionable that they could actually take, put into practice. Whether they work with you beyond this or not, doesn't matter. So the point of it is it's a piece of maybe what you would have done for a retainer or a project, but it's a small piece of that they need anyway. And then what you basically are doing is saying, okay, we no longer do proposals. What we are doing now is we're going to offer you a digital marketing assessment. I call it something different now because I'm working with manufacturing companies. So it's an industrial growth blueprint. I've sort of altered it or niched it a bit toward that specific industry. And you can do whatever you want. The reason why I did that is because I'm talking to people who really don't understand digital marketing. So to call it a digital marketing assessment, I'm basically assessing their lack of digital marketing for the most part. So instead of that, I'm now calling it it's a growth blueprint, basically a roadmap with recommendations based on what they did or didn't do. Want to make sure that you understand when you're thinking about your own foot in the door offer, and that's really what it's called. I got that. I think I heard it from Jason Swank. I forget what the name of his podcast is, and I'm going to pop it in here in a bit. But it's a great podcast. If you are an agency owner or you're a consultant, great one to listen to. And one of his favorite things is exactly as I'm saying, get paid for your time and just offer them this foot in the door offer. So think about it in terms of how you're going to construct your own foot in the door offer. Number one, what's one part of your service that you can splinter off? Think about what that is. What would it entail? Make sure that it does solve a real client pain point. So you need to really understand your client, who it is that you're really working with, and then what is their number one challenge. And maybe what you should do is lead with that. Because then it shows also that you know what you're talking about. You understand the industry or that company in particular. So you're able to come to them with a solution immediately. It doesn't take too many hours. I initially started out and I was tracking my time because I was building this before I was sending it to anybody on my team. And it took me to start with, I think about 10, 11 hours or so. I got it down to about 8. So I'm somewhere between 6 and 8 hours now, but it's got an SOP. So it's just a very repeatable thing I can do for no matter who the prospect is. It should be created into an SOP so that you can delegate this to someone else on your team or hire on an independent consultant or somebody else, an analyst who can come in and actually do that piece for you. So you should absolutely already know who you serve and know their challenges. When you understand those things, then you should understand based on what it is that you do, what their challenge and what their issues are. Think, what would you normally propose that you could turn into a paid discovery or a diagnostic? So it's going to take some thought. Now, what I also did too was I used ChatGPT. I told it what I do for my clients. I said, here's what my normal monthly retainer includes. These are the type of clients I work with. These are their challenges. Provide for me what that foot in the door offer might look like. Whatever it gives you back, adjust it and tweak it and test it, of course, with the prospect to see if they're actually buying it and if they're finding it valuable. So now I'm going to jump in. I'm going to share my screen and show you all the tools I used and exactly the process I went about creating this. The first thing, I love using anything that's going to be able to create a standard operating procedure. And that's exactly what this is going to do. What I wanted to do is make sure that I documented everything. And if you are a consultant or a digital agency owner, you already know you've got to document everything, because what's really important is that you can delegate this to someone else and that they can actually take it and own it from you. And it's a living document. At the end of the day, you really are going to need to update this, which I have done. So I documented the entire thing in Guru. So I created this was the original $1,000 digital marketing assessment. I have an actual overview here. If you've never used Guru before, I would highly recommend it. I'm not an affiliate for it yet, but I would recommend using this app. It's very good, very affordable, and it's a great, clean, easy way to document all your steps. So this is the digital marketing assessment. I've got a step 1. You can incorporate video, which I would recommend if you're going to delegate this to somebody so that you can explain to them the step. I have all the steps, all the tools that they need. And then when we get into step 2, I explain, here's all the tools that you're going to need, which of course I give them access to. They have all of that. They have the presentation, what that's going to look like as well. So they have everything they possibly could use. If there's something I need to adjust, you do. The thing with Guru, what I like about it is you can adjust it so that every 3 months it will ask me to verify, and these are individual cards. And so what it'll ask me to do is just verify that this is still the correct procedure and nothing else has changed. So I will set that in every 3 months or so is really what I do. So I've got my document, my process. What I do for this is I decided that what they needed was an overall assessment, because how can I propose something to them without having any understanding of the current state of this specific company? So if I'm doing search engine optimization, any kind of digital marketing, content marketing, anything, I need to be able to do a full analysis and understand. So what I do is I recommend that the prospect just grant access to Google Search Console and Google Analytics. So that's their own data, which is important to leverage their data. And then I use a variety of other tools. And so the other tools are SimilarWeb, so that I could easily see competitive analysis. I also use Ahrefs, is one of my favorite SEO tools. So I can do a good analysis here. I'm looking more specifically how topically relevant that the brand is, or the specific topics or themes that their website is actually showing up for, or their competitors are showing up for. So I'm not doing a rank report here. This is not a quick audit, here you go kind of a thing. This is looking at it from a strategic lens, and that's how you should be looking at this. Again, this is as a foot in the door offer. I am showing them that if we were to work together, this is how I would start their project anyway. And so we use that. Spark Toro, another highly recommended software product, that what I love about this is it's good audience research, which if you're doing SEO or any content marketing with a prospective client, you should really have a good understanding in terms of who that client is, people visiting the client's website are, what podcasts they're listening to, what YouTube videos are they watching, what actual topics are they interested in searching and talking about, whether in Reddit, maybe any of the discovery engines like Perplexity or ChatGPT. You get all of that from this one app. Of course, Google Analytics, Google Search Console. The niche now that I'm working with is manufacturing clients. I've rebranded Digital Marketing Assessment as the Industrial Growth Blueprint. It's the same framework and the same concepts and pieces apply. And I know the majority of these prospects do not have a marketing strategy. They do not have an internal strategist. They might have a digital marketer. They might have somebody in charge of sales and marketing. That person is not actually establishing a digital marketing strategy on behalf of the company. The first thing is during my initial sales call, which I'm going to put a link here so that you can access that as to how to better your sales conversations. But after we get through that initial discovery call, and they decide they're interested in learning more about, in this case, a digital marketing assessment, we'll set up a follow-up call. During that call, I explain to them exactly what it entails, what access I'll need, and the cost. So then when I explain to them all of that, and then I get the green light, I will email them a separate invoice. And then I let them know in that email, there's a link to the invoice. And then there's also a request for very step-by-step approach to them. So step one, pay the invoice. Once we have acknowledgement of paid invoice, we then move to step two, which is provide us access to Search Console and analytics with this account. Then once we get that, now we jump right into Guru in the standard operating procedure, and we go step by step. And we're building out this presentation with the recommendations and the roadmap. So in that initial kickoff, I'm getting from them at least 2 or 3 direct competitors. That's obviously also very important. And I'm also getting from them their key performance indicators. What would make a digital marketing campaign successful? It might be we want to increase our request for quotes or sales calls, or download specific white papers, whatever that is. You need to understand what those key performance indicators are during that initial kickoff, because ultimately what you're trying to do is meet or exceed that by drawing attention to, here's all your data, here's where the opportunities are, and here's where we can help out. So I go into my digital marketing assessment, and I'm building this. Also, you're also getting them to book a meeting with you, because you're going to walk them through this. This is not something they're going to pay $2,000 or $1,500 for and then send them an email with all of this. It's overwhelming, and they're never going to understand it or feel like they didn't get any value. So what I always do is I schedule with them while they're on that call. Let's schedule out that 90-minute walkthrough. And so I schedule it for 90 minutes. Sometimes I've gone over. I try to keep it to 90 minutes maximum, but there's questions or a lot of material to go through. It just depends. So what I'll do is I'll schedule that, and I'll tell them, bring anybody else on your team that should be a part of this call. That's important. You want people who are maybe, if there are writers or copywriters, or even if they work with other consultants or agency people, just invite them all in. You've got nothing to hide, because they've already paid you for your time. So now you get to display all of your genius in your assessment. I created a template. This has changed a lot, but I'll just give you, this is sort of closer to what the template I was using about 6 months ago. We put the date. This is for the specific prospect. And then I go into the actual contents of this. Yes, this is in Canva. It's an easy thing to share and create there. The contents, now I'm going to just pause a minute and explain to you, how did I come up with all of this? Again, part of the conversation I was having, the dialogue I was having with ChatGPT, was I want to create something that looks like something Deloitte Digital would create for its clients. And after having left Accenture, I wanted to maintain that same level of professionalism for my clients. So instead of paying 6 figures a month, they're paying a quarter of that, but they're still getting that quality professionalism that I was giving to the clients of Accenture when I worked there. And that's really what I'm emphasizing here in the work that I'm going to give them, because they maybe can't afford your retainer, whatever. That's okay. You're still helping them, and you're still giving them real good value. So there's a site analysis, a competitive analysis, a digital marketing strategy, and a SWOT, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So this is, again, it's stripped of any information, but you can see here, I put a little graph here. I talk about the target audience, the website performance. This is more of an executive summary. So it's not going to go into depth and detail, but it's going to hit the highlights, which is what the executive summary should do. And then, of course, I talk about the opportunities that, as a result of going through this entire assessment, these are the opportunities that you can and should take advantage of. And so I call that out. Then we get into the site analysis. I have a little intro slide describing what the site analysis is. Oh, by the way, just a little break here. I'm also going to link another video, because some months back, where I was actually walking you through the digital marketing assessment. So I'll make sure that I link that in here, but I think it's important that you can kind of see that's exactly what I'm doing here, and you can kind of get the gist of the value. This is a title slide, and basically what it's doing is giving you the high level of what it is that this next section is going to include. So I got the analytics, Google Business Profile, technical SEO audit and recommendations, content strategy, user experience, because user experience is, of course, part of good, healthy SEO, conversion funnel review. And that is great, because really what it shows is your website is not a brochure, because it's not the 90s anymore. We really need the website to be working on bringing in warm leads to the sales team. So I make sure to include a conversion funnel review and audience insights. So then I just jump right in. Okay, let's talk about your analytics, and then access the report. This is a separate deliverable that I won't go into sharing with this right now, because this would be a 5-hour video, but I create a separate deliverable and I link it into a privately shared Google Drive folder for the client. So they get the presentation, they get all the reports and all the recommendations in a shared folder for them. So this is it. Month-on-month organic traffic. I do a technical audit that incorporates only those things that matter most from a technical SEO standpoint. Again, put the report with recommendations in there. Next, Google Business Profile. I note exactly what is important and what's needed here. Again, access the report, content strategy. This is really, really helpful for them because when it comes to different clients that you're working with and content, they don't know where they should start. They don't understand and they don't know what they don't know. So when it comes to a content strategy, this is something that is well worth the $2,000 right there, because it's basically telling them, here's what your competitors are doing, here's what you're doing, here's the disparity in between and your opportunity, and here's what your content should include. And then I do that here with a traffic distribution, non-brand keyword topics, a gap analysis, a page level analysis. So you can kind of see, boom, boom, boom. These are the things that are included, and then they get the actual recommendations. And then again, I break each of these sections into subsections. The feedback I was getting was, wow, this is a lot of really great information, but it's just so much. It's to a point where I think it was overwhelming for them. Go into user experience review, because again, many times this is where I'll also catch the fact that they do need to get a website redesign. And probably 7 out of 10 times or more in some cases, I've had to actually recommend a complete website overhaul because it was outdated. You know, when you go to a website, like if you're looking at something, and especially their competitors, and you're seeing, wow, it's either completely outdated, it is not usable because you don't even know where to start or how to move from the homepage maybe throughout the website. So in many cases, this will really sort of dictate and determine if they really need a website overhaul. And then, of course, I always like to use examples. So like, if this is you and this is specifically what your competitor looks like. And then we just kind of have this dialogue or this conversation around specifically what that actually looks like. The conversion funnel, what are the call to action? Are there calls to actions here? What are your competitors doing? I can get into, through Google Analytics, are they even tracking it? And that the fact that they should be tracking it. This was also from SimilarWeb. That was the part that I cut out. Competitive PPC, if they had any pay-per-click going on. There, that was a video, an ad that one of your competitors were doing. And here's the actual strategy and the SWOT analysis, where I highlight what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. Generally speaking, their weaknesses are more than their strengths, which is why they're coming to you in the first place. And then you outline the opportunities. And the threats is really like, if you do not do this, you could expect this in the next 6 to 12 months. And then I go and talk about my digital strategy. Here's what I would recommend over the next 3 to 6 months. Here's what that physical timeline would actually look like. You could do a Gantt chart, whatever, and then you actually display the investment. So if we were to apply all of these things, that is what this would be. We can also do a la carte pricing. And if you didn't want to do pay-per-click right now, but you wanted to do SEO and maybe email marketing, then this is what that would be. That's really it. I think if you understand anything at all, you want to make sure that you're getting paid before you pitch the big stuff. By pitching this alone, my close rate has gone from 20% to like 80%. More importantly, it does simplify the sales process. It shows that you're a leader. It shows that you're an expert, and you're getting paid for your time. So the takeaway here is get paid for your time. Come up with your foot in the door offer. I've got a few things for you. If you want to help amplify your personal brand, I want you to go to bartoliconsulting.com/amplify, and it's free. Just pop your email in there and it's a free video series. There's 3 videos, and it walks you through step by step how to really amplify your brand in 2025. And so I'm going to invite you in to get that. If you have a foot in the door offer, or if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to continue this conversation with you. Thanks for watching.